Good morning to everyone, and welcome to this session, this webinar about clouds for service providers based on SoftLayer cloud offering. I'm Manuel Daza. I'm channel development specialist for EMEA, so I work with all the regions, and I will be very pleased to guide you and to help you in your SoftLayer or in your cloud opportunities. First of all, I want to start mentioning that IBM acquired SoftLayer in July 2013, sorry, so almost 2 years ago already, and there were a few reasons of why IBM chose SoftLayer instead of any other potential provider in the cloud market. So between those reasons, or between those points, I would definitely highlight the openness and the flexibility that SoftLayer can offer. Why? Because with us, you can use Microsoft Windows different versions, different Linux distributions, Citrix, VMware. You can build what you want, what you really want, or what you really need, thanks to all the possibilities that we give. And then we have different partnerships and all over the world. I will talk about that later. So we are able to provide a global network. And last, we provide unlimited support 24/7, and we are only, I would say, the only ones providing that kind of support indeed, because many other providers charge extra cost for this support needs. I've mentioned that thanks to our agreements and partnership, we have a global presence. That's our global footprint. We have, as you can see here, we have covered almost the full world with our presence in different regions. We have data centers in the main or the most developed areas for our customers. And all those lines that you can see, all those blue lines that connects all the data centers, are indeed private lines owned by SoftLayer. It means that we have a global private network. It means that the traffic of our customers is going uniquely for those cables. We are not sharing those cables with public internet. It means that it adds an extra of performance and an extra of security, because since there is no public internet traffic going through those cables or sharing the cables with the traffic of our customers, there is a much better performance. But it means also that since only our customers' traffic is going through those cables, potential attackers need to first access our private network to be able to intercede or to interfere that traffic. But in addition to that, we have some extra security capabilities, like we can see here, and they are, for example, IPv4 and v6 native implemented, but we also have global DNS services already native, and we have also integrated from the beginning our service for mitigation of distributed denial of service, the DDoS. That are extra reasons of why our network is more secure. So up to now we have, we could see on the previous slide, up to now we have 22 data centers already active. To those 22 data centers, we should add the 13 data centers coming from the previous IBM offering called Smart Cloud Enterprise. Those 13 data centers are not SoftLayer data centers because they were built differently, but they have been integrated into our global private network in a way that they can share our speed and our advantages of using that network. So if we add up, we have around 32, 35 data centers already. So we still have a target of finishing the year with 40 data centers active and covering the full world. In addition to those data centers that we have, we should talk about the POP, point of presence, which are local agreements with different providers, telco providers, that guarantee better, more secure, and more faster access to connect to our network. Okay, as an extra layer to the security of our network, we have, and I go back to the previous slide, we have this room, this magic room, which is the security operations center that we have on different data centers, like we can see on Dallas, for example. And then we have our technical staff, our technical people, monitoring 24/7 what's happening on our network, what's happening on that global private network of us. They can see if there is overload on a point, there are being more attacks on the other side, or in definitive, what's happening everywhere on our network. So it adds, as I said, that extra layer of security, because if an attacker wants to access one of our servers, first need to access our private network, and there will be already that surveillance. We arrive then to talk about the offering of SoftLayer, our offering. And I have put here in the left, three square boxes, three blue square boxes, highlighting what I see or what I understand our main differentiators against some others, or our strengths, yes. So I first start talking about what can we offer. We have a unique offering of three different kind of servers. From one side, we have the bare metal servers, which is how we call the physical servers. From the second side, we have virtual instances. And from the third side, we have private clouds. What's each one of them? Bare metal servers, I already told, are physical machines, physical servers, where we can choose almost everything. We can select the type of CPU, always Intel x86 architecture, and always latest technology. So the customer can come to us and say, I want this Intel Ivy Bridge 2690 V3 with 3 gigahertz of speeds and whatever else, and we have it. And you just have to select which one you want and which data center you want, and you then see the different availability that we have on those data centers. And you can select the CPU, you can select the hard drive, you can select the memory, you can select everything to build the machine, the server you want or you need. Secondly, we have the virtual instances, the virtual public instances, which are the common virtual machines that we have on cloud providers, the public offering. And we have also the private virtual machines. What's the difference between private and public virtual machines? At the end, they are both in the same idea. I mean, both are virtual machines built on top of physical servers. But on the first case, the public machines, there are multi-tenant environments. I mean, several customers, several owners are sharing the same physical resources that are on the basis of those virtual machines. And on the case of private virtual machines, it's single tenant environments. It means that only one owner is using the physical resources that are on the bottom of the virtual machines. However, in both cases, the security levels are very high, because and there is no way that one customer can see the others, or even can see who is in the next machine or in the nearest machine, because each machine, each customer is using a different VLAN, a different virtual LAN. So they're separated logically is there is no way that one can see the others. So we have those three different kind of servers that that you can have with us. And since we are using the latest technology from Intel, and since we are guaranteeing a higher speed for the virtual machines, higher than what our competitors are doing, we can talk about that superior throughput and superior or higher security because of we mentioned before about the network and all that. So our first point, I would say, is a better performance. We are able to give more and faster. Then we can talk about flexibility. Why flexibility? Okay, I have already mentioned that we have all these three kinds of servers available, but what's better is that you can combine them as you want, and you can really build the cloud or the infrastructure that you need. And you can put the workloads that need more performance, that need more resources, environmental servers, and you can put some other repetitive tasks on public or private clouds. And the question is that you can even select what escalate on a different way. So you can select, I don't want to escalate never the bare metals because I prefer to do it manually, but I want to automate the escalation of the scalability of the virtual servers, public and private, or you can select as you want. So they're fully customizable and they're very easy scalable. And the third point, which is the control, comes because everything is managed from the same user interface. So differently to other cloud providers who have different access or different tools for the different servers or services that they are providing, we have one single tool which is called Infrastructure Management System, IMS. And from there we can manage, we can control everything, and we can see everything. So we have that full visibility, and that we have that powerful tool. This tool IMS can be accessed via web or can be accessed via mobile. But what is even better is that we have a full bunch of APIs that give access to the different functions, to all the functions that you have on the portal, on that user interface. It means that by using those APIs, you can integrate those functions here in your own portal. So if you already have your portal, if you already have your applications or your tools or whatever you have, and you want to integrate the management of your SoftLayer infrastructure inside your existing tools, you can do it directly using our APIs. And it's even better because those APIs are open source. So up to this moment, we have around 3,500 APIs, but that's only a number because they're open source and we have a huge community of developers in a network that is called SoftLayer Developer Network, and there the different customers and internal developers share their knowledge, share their new APIs created, etc. So you can always access that network of developers to check if someone has already tried or has already done what you are trying to do, and what APIs they created and how they implemented them and how they're using and what's their benefits. Moving ahead, we have some samples of customers that are already working with us. Because I have already told how good we are, but you can be thinking, okay, you're very good, but who is working with you? So I have split this or divided this slide on three different parts. First, we have the companies that were born on the web that are cloud native, as we used to say. And here we have companies like WhatsApp, like Tumblr, like Yelp, like Fitbit. They are very known companies. And I would like to mention about, for example, WhatsApp. WhatsApp was bought by Facebook 1 year and something ago by $19 billion or so. And you know, Facebook is one of top IT companies nowadays, and they have huge and super state-of-the-art data centers. But as good as those data centers are, they don't have the powerful technology we have to use the technology escalation and geographic presence and all that. So up to now, WhatsApp is still working with us and still trusting on us because we are very good on that. What can I say? Okay, second group is what we call next generation applications or next generation enterprise applications. And here we have some examples like MongoDB, CloudAnt, or Cloudera, and we quickly see that there are applications for database analytics and more exactly for big data tasks. That means that they really need very high performance, and what they need is also real-time performance. So what or why are they with us? Because we can offer, for example, GPUs, graphic processor units, cards, in combination with our bare metal physical servers. So you can have really, really powerful machines working for you those so critical and real-time applications that need to have your big data, your analytic tasks completed on time. The third group is the companies, the traditional companies that are moving now to the cloud. And here we have very well-known examples like Samsung, like Repsol, McGraw-Hill, Citrix, SAP, Macy's, Technicolor. I could say that almost every one of those companies is very well known by everyone. But I will focus just to mention something on Citrix, for example. We all know Citrix VDIs, virtual desktop environments, and well, how does Citrix work with SoftLayer? Instead of having their own machines, for example, for customers' live demos, they have those servers on SoftLayer infrastructure, on SoftLayer network. It means that when a customer wants to try what's that SoftLayer, that's Citrix VDI, how those virtual desktop work, they just click on live demo on the Citrix portal, on the Citrix web page, and then a SoftLayer server deploys a new desktop, which is presented to the customer. The customer makes all the tests they want to do, and then once he finishes, the server closes that machine that was created, and Citrix will only pay for the time that customer was using that demo machine. So at the end, is really cloud benefit applied. We have already passed over here more or less, just to mention how these three different points: bare metal, virtual servers, public and virtual servers on private cloud, and we are all connected. I will talk a little bit more about that next one. So, okay, now you're maybe saying, okay, I want to start using SoftLayer or working with SoftLayer. How do I configure my workloads? How do I work with SoftLayer? And here I must say, SoftLayer is an infrastructure provider, our infrastructure as a service provider. So the key word here is infrastructure. And infrastructure at the end means hardware. It means that when you want to configure or when you want to prepare a configuration or in SoftLayer, at the end you have to make yourself the same questions that you ask when you are requesting a new server in a traditional provider. So how many cores and processors will I need? How much RAM? How much amount of storage? Which operating system will I be using? What kind of network? How many backups I will be doing, etc., etc., etc. This is the way you can work with SoftLayer. And kind of workloads. Okay, you have already told me how can I configure a server in SoftLayer, but what can I do with that server? I already mentioned that we are using Intel x86 architecture, so all kind of services that are currently running on your servers running x86 machines will run on our cloud. So here we have different, for example, Active Directory, we have Exchange, we can build file servers, we can build test and development environments, we can printer servers, financial services servers, whatever we need, and which is very, very interesting in here is the backup, disaster recovery, and business continuity services. Why? And I will go back to the slide number 3 here to our great graph of our global private network. So it's not only that we're owning those cables that allow us to have better performance and better security, but it's also that since we are owning the network, we can offer the traffic between the data centers for free to our customers. So having the traffic in the inter-data center for free means that if you want to do a backup of your servers, you have your servers in Paris and you want the backup in Milan, you won't be paying for the traffic. But if you want your backup in Singapore or Tokyo, you won't be paying for traffic neither. So it saves a big amount of money in terms of traffic, and it's very, very powerful reason to make backups or this kind of solution with us. So we have already seen a little bit of everything, but when shall we use what? We start with virtual servers, okay? And on SoftLayer webpage, when we go and we click on virtual servers, we see this screen. And it's very easy to understand how to set up and how the price changes and all that. On the left, we have 3 parameters. We have the number of cores, we have the amount of RAM, and we have the size of the storage. And with an asterisk, that means that this storage is only for the primary disk. So we can put additional disk. We are not limited to that amount. So if we leave those selectors or those buttons on the left, we will be taking the minimum amount, 1 core, 1 gigabit of RAM, and 25 gigabytes of storage. If we move them to the right, we will be reaching the highest capacity of each virtual machine, 16 cores, 64 gigs of RAM, and 100 gigabytes of storage for the first disk, I repeat. But if we need differently, we can also put in the middle. So I told before, we can really customize the solution, we can really build what we exactly need. And each time we move those selectors, the prices here on the bottom will be changing. We have also to select if we prefer the public node, so public cloud, or we want private one, private machines or public machines. And if we want SAN storage, so network storage or local storage attached on the same virtual machine. Finally, I already mentioned that we can see how the price changed, but by clicking on the button of each price, we will be selecting that we want monthly tariff or hourly tariff. Need to remark that when we order monthly billing, we automatically receive 5 terabytes of outbound traffic for free, which is with each virtual machine each month. Okay, time for bare metal machines. This is an example of the screen that we see when we select to order a bare metal machine, a physical server. And we see here that we first have to select between single processor, dual processor or quad processor. And we have some examples of the characteristics that we will see on each one of those servers. I mean, this is like when you see the cars advertisements on the street, you see the initial price, all the possible configurations, but this is starting at. So starting at $159 per month, we can have this configuration that can reach 8 cores, but 8 cores won't be the $159 per month. So we have a lot of, when we click on order now, is when we see all the possible configurations, and we can put those 8 cores and 128 gigs of RAM, etc. Depending also on the type of server that we choose, we will have access to different chassis. So, for example, with the single processor one, we can reach 16 terabytes of local storage, but if we go to the dual processor, we already have bigger chassis that can allocate up to 144 terabytes, for example, for creating mass storage servers. Need to say also that when we order monthly bare metal machines, we directly receive 20 terabytes per month per server, so of outbound traffic, which is really a lot. It's massive. So this is monthly bare metal machines, but hey, surprise, we can also ask or request or order hourly bare metal machines. It means that we can have a server built to our needs and use them only for some hours. And what is best is that they will be ready in 20 to 30 minutes, ready to go. How does all that fit together? Well, I already told before that we have that tool that was developed by us, which is called Infrastructure Management System. It's a very powerful tool that takes, it's on the core, on the middle of our solution, and directly takes the information from our data centers. Here we need to say that our data centers are all standardized, and they were built following the same guidelines, exactly the same guidelines, and they imitate one to the others. So those data centers send all the information to IMS, or said in a different way, IMS is capable of reading all the information from the data center and pods. So IMS can know what's the inventory, what's the availability, what's the status of each data center on every moment. It means that, for example, when a customer requests a new server, IMS automatically check the availability, and if there is a server that fits 100% what the customer requested, IMS automatically provision and assign that server to that customer. But if there is no 100% compatible server, IMS send a message to the technical team saying, team, this customer has requested this server, but the most similar server we have is an 82% compatible with this customer requirement. In order to make it 100% compatible, you need to change that hard drive for an SSD of 800 gigabytes, and you have to attach an extra 16 gigs of RAM. So when the technical team goes into the server's room, into the pod, they already know what they have to do, and they already have the tools and the components on the hand, so they go directly to the corridor and to the rack and to the server level that IMS indicated to them, and they can change directly, and it's done in a quicker way. Once the service has been changed, IMS detects the change and automatically assigns that server to the customer. And last, we have the triple network architecture. I already mentioned that we have that proprietary network architecture, so we are owner of that network. But what is also very important is that all our servers have double network cards and have three different segments of network. We have the red segment, which is only for public traffic. We have the blue segment, which is only for private traffic, and we have the green segment, which is only for management traffic. And I said that the network cards are duplicated. It means that we have two cables, two red cables, and we have two blue cables, and we have one green cables. It means that if our server is having trouble in one of the cables, for example, in the public network, because they left the router, the firewall ports open, and they are receiving attacks, the customer can just close the cable, that segment of the network, and use the other cable, and they will still have access through the open public cable, through the management network, and through the private network. It means that the server will continue to be accessible even if they were attacked and they close that segment of the network. By the other hand, it's also improved the performance, because if the customer wants to make a backup, they can say, okay, you use one of the cables for giving your standard or your usual network task, and you use the other cable to do the backup without impacting the performance. So I have already mentioned some of them, but what are the SoftLayer differentiators? There are really a lot of cloud providers nowadays, and we need to understand that each one of them can be good for some things, but the point is, what's the best one for my needs? Okay, we see here, this is a quick comparison with Amazon, which is probably our main competitor in here, and we see that, okay, we have the list price, which is the blue part, and we see that when we start, the list price of Amazon is much lower than ours. But then we see that with Amazon you have to pay the bandwidth, the network traffic, because it's not included, and with Amazon you have to pay the support because, hey, it's not included. So at the end, you see that the price of Amazon has going higher than our price. And it's not only a question of price, it's also a question of performance, because we are giving the full amount of the RAM, for example, that we promised. And here you have those two EC2 units of core. Instead of cores, they have computing units, and we have full cores. It means that we are giving two cores, giving each one of them, or delivering each one of them 2 gigahertz of speed guaranteed. But however, what they have is with Amazon, they give between 1.2 and 1.7 gigahertz, as per some studies from independent laboratories have discovered. It means an increase on the performance, or a difference in the performance between 20 and 30%. And we have customers that have really mentioned about that difference in the performance. So, what are the benefits for the partners? First, we're working with x86 architecture, so you can directly deploy software on them, or you can use any of the hypervisors we can work with, and you can build your own virtualized environment. Secondly, we have that free traffic that I have talked about already in this presentation, so we can offer really interesting backup, disaster recovery, or high availability solutions. We can have predictable cost. This is very important. Our support is included, unlimited, via chat, ticket, or phone. You can ask and you can use it as much as you need to solve your questions, because it's included. And the bandwidth allocations for internal traffic and for uploading for inbound traffic is unlimited, also free. But the outbound traffic, we have interesting amounts already included. The 5 terabytes I mentioned for the virtual machines, and the 20 terabytes I mentioned for the bare metal. There are great amounts of outbound traffic for our servers. So at the end, it gives us the best price for performance. And again, we have many customers that have highlighted that point of the difference in the performance. So we're right to the point of talking about responsibilities, and this is very important because depending on which model we are working, there is one owner of each responsibility. When we were talking about on-premises installations, we were sure that once you deliver the components, once you deliver the hardware to the customer, it's the customer who is managing everything, it's the customer who's responsible of everything. But when we are on infrastructure as a service, and here is SoftLayer, we are the responsibles for the hardware part. It means networking, storage, servers, and virtualization layer. And from the OS that we already deliver, so we'll give you the Linux, Windows, Citrix, or whatever you ask, but from that point you are the responsible. You have to manage it, you have to configure it, you have to update it, you have to secure it, and you have to do everything with it, including backups, etc., install applications or whatever. What does it mean? It means that this is the point where many customers are very weak. They want to take advantages of cloud, I mean agility, ubiquity, accessibility, but they don't have the skills to do all those tasks. So what? So that's the perfect frame for business partners to give their services, to add value, and then show what's interesting to count on them. I go to the next slide here. Those are the values, I just mentioned them. Those are the three main values of cloud computing. Agility. You can have exactly the hardware that you need when you need. I mentioned before you can scale up and down. If you need more, you will have more. If you need less, you will have less. You don't have that commitment. You don't have to make that investment now for what you might be needing in 2 weeks or in 2 years. Secondly, we have utility. You pay for what you have consumed or what you consume. It's the same what I mentioned before. I mean, you have the power that you need, and so you pay for the power that you need or you have consumed. And lastly, we have ubiquity, which means that it is accessible from anywhere and from anyone. When we need it, we will have it. We can use it and we can make it accessible even through the APIs or whatever. So we are really sure that we are able to use what we will be needing. So how can we work with opportunities in cloud? First, we need to have very clear, cloud is not a threat, it's an opportunity. I've seen many business partners saying, cloud is not for me, cloud is a threat because it's a menace, because I have some customers that want to move their workloads or their servers to the cloud. It means that I will stop managing, I will stop having that business on this customer. False. The moving to the cloud is the real opportunity that you have to manage your full customer's infrastructure, because you can do a series of tasks that the customer cannot do because they don't have the skills normally. You were already doing on-premise because they didn't have the skills or because they trusted on your value. You can continue doing that right now. How can we do that? First, you have to be sure that you include your cloud attributes into your offering. You remember, cloud attributes, the agility, utility, and ubiquity, you can put other words, but those are the main points that I mentioned before. But then you can use your recommendations and you can put some extra value than you can give to your customers. So you can create, you can provide professional services, or you can include them into bundles, so you can give the customer the service they really need. You are the one that better knows your customer, so you are the one that better knows what kind of services they are more interested on. They can be interested on monitoring, on management, on backup, or deployment, or design, whatever. You are the one that really knows them, so you can take those services that are based on your skills. You can take the workloads, or what you know that can be done with our infrastructure, and you can build your own bundled solutions. And here, what you will be doing the most of your margin, because you will be putting your value here. How can we choose the right infrastructure as a service platform? I have already mentioned a lot about that. These are our main points. Transparency. Our prices are transparent. I mentioned with the example of Amazon before. If I tell you my price is 100, my price is 100, including traffic, including support, including performance, including etc., 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 and the high level of security always. So, how can we target the right opportunities? First, talk to the business line. When we talk to the IT line of business, it's for sure that we can always defend the extra performance. We can defend all the advantages of our solution. But also, when we talk to the business and we say, hey, if you need support, you will have support. You don't have extra surprises. You have that transparency of price. You have that agility. We have those references of different kind on different sizes of customers, etc., etc., etc. But then look for what's new on each customer, new projects, new initiatives, new hardware that they will be needing because they need to refresh what they have, or research and development projects or whatever. Or you can also, based on your knowledge and your skills, propose new solutions, new collaboration packages or backup solutions or redundancy or whatever might be needed. So we arrive to the interesting part of discount schedule. So from the very first moment, you will be starting with a discount, okay? And as far as you increase your consumption, your discount will also be increased. Some of you can be thinking, this is a very low margin to start with. Yes, I don't discuss that, but this is because the offering and your margin, I already told, should be based on your value. This is the key. Think, please, that now with internet, we have access to all the different cloud providers. And all the different cloud providers, we have our tariffs, we have our prices available online. It means that if you are giving the server, providing servers and just giving to your customers and making there your 5% discount, the customer can say, hey, I don't understand what this business partner is doing for me because I'm doing everything. He's just in the middle between IBM and myself, so I can go directly to IBM and provision the servers by myself. But if you show through your professional services, through your advocacy and your assessment, what's your value, the customer will continue for sure with you. And it's on your professional services, it's in here where you can put your margin, because are you the one putting the value and are you giving the services? So what's next? Call to action. First, I invite you all to create an account in SoftLayer. It's free. You have no commitment of consumption of time or whatever. As far as you don't utilize servers, as far as you don't provision servers and you start putting them whatever, you don't have to pay. So you can sign up and you can start watching the portal, using the portal, getting familiar with the environment, with the APIs, etc. All that you need. So first, create SoftLayer account. Second, sign up as SoftLayer reseller. Third, education is crucial. In this link, you have all kind of material for training for your technical and sales team. Third, transfer internal workloads. Don't start signing today for giving services to your customers tomorrow, because it will be too tight and you will have questions for sure. And then you will come saying, I'm not sure on how to do that. I'm not sure if this is the good case or whatever. Do things with time so you can learn. And it's not so long to learn, because it's the x86 architecture that you have been already using and I have mentioned. But first, my advice, start transferring some internal workloads so you can test, you can try, you can learn, and then you propose to your customers. And for sure, for any questions you have, I'm at your availability. If you need, you can contact me on these different links, and I will be very, very pleased to help you making business with the cloud. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'm open to that.
No, thank you, Manuel. That's lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel. This is Burcu. I will send you an email offline.
Perfect. I will be waiting for it. And if you have business opportunities or whatever, count on me. I'm here to help.
Okay, thank you.